What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ed, and this is Hustle and Grow. If this is your first time watching, I resell on Amazon, eBay, and Walmart. I've been doing it for some time now. Opened up my eBay account 2012. Didn't really start really selling until 2016, and then going on the last 3 years, I've been full time. I did restaurant management for almost 10 years, and yeah, it's kind of a summary of the history there. Today, I just wanted to make a video to talk about a few topics. Number one, I want to talk about just some things as far as like dealing with buyers and some of the issues that I've been running into, especially with a lot of buyers using freight forwarders and then running into issues where they think that I'm responsible for whatever happens, or scams and buyers who use this freight forwarder thing as a way to try to scam us. Also, I want to talk about the economy, and if you look at the showrunner, how much is the economy affecting sales on whether you're on eBay, Walmart, Amazon? Because all of us have been experiencing some form of maybe sales slump in some way. Some of us, I ain't gonna say everybody. However, across the board, when you look at the totality of online sales in general, and this also comes from a place of me just watching videos on YouTube or TikTok and people talking about, the economy and inflation and how it's affecting their pockets. Looking at how many offers that I'm getting is just incredibly low. And yeah, we have our share of lowball offers that come on eBay, but it just seems inordinately high lately. And I started to think to myself, I wonder, is this the trend? Because not so much people are just trying to be lowballers, but because they want things, but they just don't have the money. And so it just makes me look at it a different way. And also in the showrunner, will this Q4 be worse than the last one? What do y'all think about that? What I want you to do is put your answer in the comments below. Let me know what you think about these things. Let me know what you think about what you've been experiencing with offers. Do you think that a majority of these lower offers now are more of a result of people's pockets tightening up and not so much people just trying to shoot out lowball offers? And what do you think about this Q4 coming up? Do you think it's going to be a good one, or do you think we might, be in for some trouble? Now, lastly, I changed all my returns except on a few items from free returns to buyer paid returns. And the reason I did that is because a lot of the items that I'm selling now are 2-pound items and more. And I've been getting a higher amount of return requests that aren't, that are like, well, they use don't fit, but I don't know how it don't fit for, a hair dryer, but whatever. Don't fit, didn't like. I had somebody say they got one, somebody else bottom it, so they and so I changed it to buyer pays return shipping, and I'll get into that. But having said that, these are topics. I am going to put chapters below so that you can search by topic, and I'll probably cut this video up into shorter videos just in case somebody wants to just watch those specific topics. Now today is Monday, August 5th. And sales wise, I've been doing pretty good as far as sales go, but I want to start off with the issue that I, just talked about as far as this whole freight forwarder stuff and buyers. So I don't know if it's the types of items that I've been selling, which it probably is, the hair clippers and the blow dryers and things like that. And the fact that they do have a higher average sell price. Of course, I've been having more issues with scams. But not only that, but people ordering through freight forwarders, which is nothing wrong with that. It's not against eBay's TOS. And I don't care one way or another. But what I do notice now is people either having an issue with their items, them claiming their item hasn't arrived, or a good amount of those buyers trying to scam me and either say there was some issue with the item that I know there wasn't, and fishing for partial refunds. So I'm gonna bring up. It would probably be better for me to read this on my phone because going through eBay messages on desktop it's just hard to do that. So I'm gonna bring up this conversation that I had with a buyer, right? Let me see if I can find it first. Okay, so now this is a conversation I had with a buyer. So this buyer, and I didn't even notice that this buyer had previously messaged me about this item. Okay, so this item was Andis GTX EXO professional cordless hair trimmers. I sold them for $105. So the only reason I realized I had a previous conversation with this buyer is because they messaged me after they so-called received the item and claimed there was an issue. We'll get into that. But initially they had messaged me, are there factory molds inside the box for the trimmer and everything else? I messaged back, the only things that are in the box are the items and the images. You can see the images and zoom in if necessary, but that's all it is. That's all that's included. Then they asked, is there a plastic shipping form that contains a trimmer and a small box in which the accessories will lie? So basically, they asked in like, you know how sometimes open box items people will sell, but it won't come with, you know, the mold or whatever it is that the item actually lays in and all that. It will just be like thrown in a box. That's kind of what they was asking. That is what they was asking. So I said, inside the box, there's the plastic mold and the clippers and charger that the clippers and charger fit into. Under that is a rectangular box that contains the charging cable and other accessories. If that's what you asked them. I should have taken a picture, but I didn't think it would. I didn't think anybody would ask. That's what I wrote though, right? So boom, that last message that I sent was on. Well, there's no date, but either way. Hmm. Okay, no, that was around July 15th. Okay. Fast forward to August 1st. They received the item. They say, hi, you stated that this is an open box item, has not been used, but this is not the case. There is hair on it and traces of use. You should have stated that. You should have stated this in a used item. You should have stated that this is a used item. Now, I already talked about this in another video. I did this. There was no hair on there. It wasn't used. I checked those items really, really carefully. Okay, for that very purpose, right? I know how it would be if I ordered something that I thought was new or open box and there was hair all in it. So I checked those things. I said. Then he says, I received it only now because I'm from Ukraine and it took a long time to get to me. I could take a photo if needed. I would be satisfied. And then here's the kicker. I would be satisfied if you make a small compensation, partial refund. Okay. Now, mind you, this item was shipped to Delaware. I already checked the order. So that means they used a forwarder. There's already issues with that, right? There's already issues with that. So that lets me know right there that I do have a case with eBay, but never mind the fact that I know there wasn't any here. Okay. So this is a buyer who knows the policies, who knows the category information, right? And who's trying to use that to scam for a partial refund. So they say, I would be satisfied if you make a small compensation, partial refund. And of course, I responded basically, item wasn't used. If you wasn't satisfied with the purchase, you can return it for a full refund. It's not our policy to do partials, so on and so forth, right? And then I made some statements about eBay's policy. And I reminded them I could report their account because I felt like, you know, whatever. And I did report their account. I reported the account, I blocked the buyer. And so that way, if they try to leave negative feedback for whatever reason, you know, my case is even stronger. So guys, when you have a problem buyer like this, one thing you want to do is make sure that you respond accordingly. Don't get all, you know, overhyped or say nothing disrespectful. Respond accordingly. Make sure you suggest that they send the item back if they're not happy. But if it's a problem like this, or if you think that there's something that is violating eBay policies or even could be construed as such, report them. Just report them, okay? Because it's going to look better for you if later you come back and got to file a case like, hey, this buyer said this and that. I reported them and let y'all know. So now, so like if you got to fight negative feedback. Of course, they didn't open up a return. As of yet, there haven't been any negative, but I think eBay makes you wait 7 days. So I still got a couple more days to see how that goes. But this is the issue, man, with some of these things. And this is just something we kind of got to deal with, right? I don't mind. I look at it's crazy because I even had a buyer send me an offer and I looked at their account and I saw a lot of negatives that they left for other buyers. And it's just like I come across this a lot lately with these buyers who seem like they're out of the country. I don't know if it's their expectation, if it's scam, if it's a mixture of both. But you can't just block everybody either, right? You can't block everybody, man. So sometimes I'm a little conflicted on how to deal with it. And for the most part lately, I've just been sending the item and we'll just see what happens, right? We'll just see what happens. But if pay attention, guys, to when you selling, and if you come across this, just make sure you document everything by sending the proper messages, and I mean document by putting your responses in the message thread. Any concerns you got, make sure you put that in the message thread. But be respectful, suggest a return, everything, and then if you do think there's a problem, report them. I'm gonna say this again: report them, because that's showing eBay that you already were alerted that there is some sort of issue here or something that might be a policy violation, and it could strengthen your case if you have to do any sort of appeal for negative feedback removal or whatever it may be. Okay. Now, instead of going into talking about the economy first, because this other subject kind of falls right underneath this whole buyer thing, is the no free return. So I said that I had been getting returns of people just claiming that they didn't like the item, they bought it on accident, the usual stupid stuff. Now these are items that are over 2 pounds. So this ain't my usual that I was selling 4 ounce, 8 ounce thing where I don't care so much about the free return because it's $3, $4, $5 maybe. This is higher. Now I switched the majority of my items to buyer pays returns. I'm not going to do no returns. But now I'm thinking, and I'm going back and forth. So what I want is for y'all to give me y'all opinion on this, right? Because I know I get a 10% discount on final value fees if I do free returns. And yes, not every day that you get a return. Well, hopefully it ain't. But 10%. If you're paying $1, $2, 15, 30 cents per transaction, could add up. But it's really starting to annoy me, man. It's really starting to annoy me. But then on the flip side, I'm thinking like, well, if I do this, will I see an increase in buyers trying to use an INET excuse to return the item? And just because a buyer changed their mind does not mean that I won't accept their return. I'm just saying I'm kind of tired of paying for it just because you changed your mind, right? I don't know, man. I'm looking for what y'all think about that. Do you think I should switch it back to free returns, or do you think I should keep it for buyer paid returns? Tell me what you think, and tell me why you think that in the comments. But I'm gonna do it for a minute and see. I'm not so much worried because now I won't get top rated plus because I'm not doing free returns, so I won't get that 10% discount. I'm not sure I care. I'm really not sure that I care. We'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna test it out for a couple months and see what happens. But let me know what y'all do. Do y'all do free returns? I know for some of y'all who sell items that are heavier that you don't, and I understand why. And I understand that some of y'all don't do free shipping anyway, which is another thing I had considered changing. However, I'm not going to change that yet. I'm gonna still keep free shipping. And as of right now, I'm going to do buyer has to pay a return shipping. If there's an issue, a legitimate issue, I'll send them a label. That's another thing. I also want the option to give them a label. And so part of my reasoning behind doing buyer pays returns is that if I am asked, do I want to accept the return, I can say yes and provide my own label because I can get the label cheaper than what eBay is going to charge me anyway. Because I've seen the prices on some of the labels that eBay is charging me for them sending it back, and I know that I paid less than that, right? I know that I paid less than that. And VQuote has an option in there where you can just go in and print a return label easily, right? So I'm looking at it and I'm just like, I want to just test it out, and I want to have a little bit more control over when I do get returns, accepting those returns. and being able to purchase the label myself to save myself there, because then it may be worth it. So I don't know. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Finally, and this is the crux of our conversation, right? How much is the economy affecting ourselves? Because we know it is. It's not a question of whether it is or isn't, but it's a question of how much. I've been going through eBay and not eBay. I've been going through YouTube and TikTok, watching videos, listening to people talk about how much they struggle. And don't get me wrong, I feel like some of these videos are just people just looking for clicks and views. However, the overarching theme, and we all know this, every last one of us, because we're living it, things are higher as far as price goes. They're more expensive. I seen somebody talking about they had to take out loans and stuff just to buy food. Now I don't know about all that, but if you taking out payday loans and doing this and that just to go grocery shopping, that's bad, man. That's really bad. And so it makes me wonder, because what initiated this thought process is that I have been getting a lot of lowball offers, more than usual. And I won't even say lowball, just low offers. And I know there's times when we go through these waves on eBay with these low offers, but uh, it made me just think to myself, right? Because initially I'm like, man, what's up with people? Why they keep sending these low offers? They just trying to lowball me. But then I thought, maybe it ain't got nothing to do with that. Maybe people just tight. Their pockets tight. They want the item, but even the already low price is still too much for them. You know, and it made me reevaluate my response to some of those offers. A lot of times I won't send a counter offer when somebody sends an offer that's ridiculously too low, because I'm like, okay, this is just not even serious. I ain't got, because and it just ain't that. It's just 9 times out of 10, you either don't get a response or you get a decline. So there's no point in wasting my time sending a counter offer. But lately I've been sending more counter offers, and a few of them have resulted in acceptation. Can I say that? A few of them have resulted, or a few of them have been accepted. Let's say that, right? But I'm just wondering, like, man, people out here struggling financially, and that struggle will translate into people still wanting to buy the things that they like or the things that they need. However, the amount that they're willing to spend is definitely shrinking, right? It's decreasing, and they're tight. Their pockets are tighter. And so sales are still there, but what people are willing to pay for the same. And I've seen this on not just eBay, even Walmart and stuff. Some of my things I had to come down on the price, but it's hard to really judge as much because it is summer. So then you got the summer slowdown on top of what's going on with the economy. And the fact of the matter is, y'all, there have been a massive amount of layoffs this year. There have been a massive amount of people who've lost their job. And yeah, they can say that jobs are going up, but it's not the type of jobs that are helping people sustain. Look, when people are talking about having to work two, three different jobs just to make it, that's real. And if the person having to work two or three jobs, you think they got extra money to spend on, just any old thing? No, probably not. And it don't mean they won't buy it, but they're going to think a little harder about how much they're willing to spend on it. They ain't just going to automatically hit the buy button, right? And on eBay, where you got a best offer option, they're 9 times out of 10 going to use that best offer option. So how should this influence your strategy going forward as a reseller? That's the question. What influence should this have on your strategy? People will complain that sales are slow, and people will, talk about how hard it is to get a sale, and so on and so forth. But you have to take these things into consideration if you're looking at it happen in your own life. If you're complaining about what you're paying going to your nearest grocery store and all of that, that's the same thought that your buyers are having when they're looking at some of the prices that some of us have on our items, right? Only difference is you can't go up to the counter at Walmart and say, hey, I know this says $10, but can I give you 8? There is no best offer at Walmart. There's no best offer at Target. There's no best offer at Sam's Club, right? There's no best offer at the gas pump, right? The price is the price. But on eBay, there's an option for best offer. And so I personally am taking a different look at not only my prices, But I'm looking at the best offer thing a little bit differently and not going to get like as upset, which whatever, call it what you want, as I was getting about some of these lower offers because people want to buy, but they just don't have as much money to buy. They don't. It's another question whether or not they even need to be buying some of the stuff. But hey, it is what it is. Um, but I don't think this economy is going to get better anytime soon, y'all. I really don't, and it's definitely not going to get better this year. So going forward, going forward, yesterday's market is not today's market, right? And so having that in mind, not only do you need to prepare your business for what's happening now, right? You need to build according to what may be going to happen in the future, and that's not just considering what you list and how you list it and how much you list it for, but that also this is very important. So I need y'all to listen up. That also means budgeting your funds correctly. All right, keeping a close eye on your cash flow, making sure that you don't overspend, that you don't overextend yourself. Okay. And I just don't think this is a good time to overspend and overextend yourself from a budgetary standpoint. Okay. I think that would be a mistake. I think that would be a mistake. And I'm not, here to preach doom and gloom or nothing like that. I'm just saying, from a business perspective, going forward, just be patient, y'all. Just be patient and keep a reserve. Keep a reserve. And if you do this full time, because this will be more so for full timers, you really need to keep a reserve because you got to worry about if something goes wrong or if the economy really goes to crap. You got to worry about your personal financial side and your business side because you're funding both. You're funding both. I think not enough people talk about this when they talk about full time. When you're full time, your money has to fund both things, your lifestyle and your business. That is a lot. As opposed to if you're part time, basically your reselling business is just extra money. For real, for real. Unless you're on doing part time job and then reselling is kind of like your other part time job. So together they make a full time job. That's a little bit different. But if you got a full time job but you're just reselling on the side, then really that reselling is extra money. So your strategy for that can be a little bit differently and you can be a little bit more aggressive. You can be a little bit more aggressive. I wouldn't say right now be too aggressive, but you can be a little bit more aggressive. There's some leeway there. However, for those of us doing it full time, you gotta have a better strategy and a more clear plan of action going forward. It has to be thoughtful, y'all. Um, so you can't just be out there buying whatever, selling whatever. Keep your finger on the pulse of the economy. Listen to what people are saying, and I'm not talking about the negative stuff people are saying, but listen to some of the negative stuff, take it with a grain of salt, but just listen to the feedback coming from economists, the feedback coming from the everyday Joe, and listen to the feedback coming from your own environment. Your environment is speaking to you every single day, okay? Every single day. And that environment will let you know what you need to be doing when it comes to running your business and when it comes to living the type of lifestyle that you live. Okay? Let yourself be guided by these things. Don't just be guided by some of the stuff on you. Listen, YouTube is wonderful for information, but I think some of us get caught up in the YouTube world and forget that there's a real world. And what do I mean by that? YouTube world, y'all, is not all the way real. There's some real people out there giving you some real info and a very, very, very real perspective. However, a good majority of it is not real. And it's easy to get caught up in that, even with the negative stuff, right? It's easy to get caught up in all the negative chatter and not even realize that, okay, yeah, there might be some issues, but there's definitely ways around this or ways to deal with these things. There's definitely things you can do to counteract some of this stuff. Like, No, it's not that real. But you can get caught up in that, right? It's just like any other form of information or propaganda or anything. If that's all you feed yourself, it's like watching the news, right? If you watch only one channel, that's dangerous. It's dangerous. And I'm not here to talk politics, but it's like if you only watch CNN or you only watch Fox and their subsidiaries, I'm gonna pray for you because man, don't do it. I'm just saying you should kind of like it's always good to hear both sides. If you care about reason, if you care about truth, right? It's always good to hear both sides and then come to your own conclusion. Be an individual, man. Stop following the crowd. One thing about that I learned growing up, because I ain't gonna lie, when I was growing up, I was a follower. You know, that's why I was involved in gangs and stuff like that. I realized that was following. When you're a follower, you just do things for the sake of the crowd. You don't do them because you're an individual. And it took for me to get a little bit older to realize that, like, what was I doing? I'm tripping. But whatever, that's another conversation. I ain't trying to go too far off of a tangent, but guys, take this information in as much as you can, but also come to your own conclusions. But the one thing I can tell you is that this economy is speaking to us as resellers, as people. It's letting you know like these things are going to be like this for a while, and the customers are speaking to us. These offers you get, that's feedback, that's data. If you notice an uptick in low offers, that is data. Something is telling you, hey, there's a reason. Now, that reason could be your items are overpriced. That reason could be maybe that market has gone down. Maybe those items aren't as desirable. That reason could be people's just tight, man, and they want it, but you gotta have to come down on your price a little bit. What's the data telling you? Listen to the feedback. We get caught up in our mental and we get upset and we get caught up in our emotions and we dismiss the feedback. And so, because we dismiss the feedback, we're unable to see the real solutions that's going to help us continue moving our business forward. Remember, the main object is to move your business forward. What is it going to take? And so, what I think it's going to take is a reevaluation of what it is you're selling, how much you're selling it for, and do you need to make any changes? Okay. And base those things on what you see in the market, what the customer is telling you, and what's going on in the economy. And also have reserves. Have reserves for your personal life, have reserves for your business. Tighten your own pockets, right? Put a clamp on your own budget, right? And do whatever you got to do to make sure that if something were to go wrong, if you went through a slump, if the overall economy went through a slump, that you have backups that you can draw from if so need be. Because if you're full time, it's not just your business, it's not just your lifestyle, it's both. That you have to be able to support through a tough time. See, those who are working full time and doing reselling on the side got it better than us, y'all. Y'all got it better than us because if something go wrong, reseller can actually carry you through a whole lot. Heck, because your job is still full time. And so reseller can carry you through a lot. But if we full timers like go through something, that we might end up having to join y'all in the workforce, which okay, whatever. I don't care about that. But it's just crazy, man. So and that leads me into this final point, which if you look in the showrunner, will this Q4 be worse than the last one? Um, I mean, last Q4 was pretty underwhelming, don't y'all think? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Last Q4 was pretty underwhelming, and yeah. So I don't know what to think this time. Mm. We really haven't seen the full effect yet either of a couple things. We haven't seen the full effect of some of these states that have raised these minimum wage numbers, right? Because there's a lot of people in California. And the effect of raising that minimum wage, that we haven't even begun to see that yet. California's seeing it, but it hasn't gotten to where it's going to get because a lot of people are losing jobs already. A lot more are going to lose them. People are going to be replaced by automation. There's going to be a lot happening. That's going to take some years, but even right now, there's going to be some effects to that. We haven't seen the full effects of, regardless of what you think, we got to talk about this. all of these migrants coming in, and some of these states giving migrants all of this free money. Guys, like, look, I don't want to. This ain't a political channel. I don't want to talk about. We have to talk about the things going on in the economy and politics that have an effect on our business. I don't think we should run away from those things or shy away from those topics. It's easy and fun to talk about what sold and how much it sold for, but we're here to learn. We're here to get better. We're here to grow our businesses. At least I am. And so if a certain political thing has an effect on us, on the economy, we should talk about it. If certain things going on in the country has an effect on the economy, we should talk about it because those effects on the economy, on the overall economy, the macro economy, it's going to eventually trickle down and affect us, y'all. It really is. And so, look, you can't just, and we've seen this with the stimulus, which is why a lot of the inflation isn't just it's, honestly, it's just that whole stimulus and all that. It was bound to happen, right? Whatever. But if now they're giving people money who didn't even come in legally, right? I just seen a video of a lady ranting because she worked in the store and a migrant, illegal, used a credit card that the state of New York gave them, not a credit card, a EBT card that the state of New York gave them, and the balance on this EBT card, she had $13,000 something in food stamps and like $4,000 in cash. Where is that coming from? That's coming from us, the taxpayers. Now, not from me because I'm not in New York, but that's coming from the New York taxpayer. But when you take that money and you inject that back into the system, what do you think that's going to do? Like, that has an effect, y'all. That has an effect. And all I'm saying is, as a reseller, as a businessman or a businesswoman, not only should we be aware of these things, we need to talk about these things because this will affect your strategy going forward. That will have an effect on the whole overall strategy of what am I selling? Is it going to continue to be desirable? Are these types of items going to slow down? Are these types of, if so, what types of items can I buy that might actually help me boost my revenue? Should I have a reserve? What do I see the economy going? Because that's going to dictate how much of a reserve do I think I really need. If the economy might go down further and further, let's just say we think that, it might be another year before we see any increase. That might mean you need a larger reserve. But if you think that the economy is going to get better over the next year, then maybe you don't have as much. But to not have anything in reserve, I think is pretty foolish. To just discount what's going on in the overall environment that affects us as business owners. That's all I'm talking about. And a lot of these things do. To just not talk about that as a community, I don't think is a very wise thing either. And so again, I'm not trying to be political with nobody. Please don't leave no comments below. This ain't got nothing to do with that. I am only specifically talking about what is happening in government that is going to have an effect on all of us. And we need to understand that this is feedback. This is information. This information is coming in. And when we look at these platforms, it ain't. I've seen a video the used book guy, not a video. It was a survey. Used book guy put out, and it was something like, whose fault is it more? And then the answers was like the platform or sellers. Like, whose fault is the problem? Is it the platform or is it the seller? And I was doing something because I was going to write in the comments. And Mike, if you're watching this, I feel like you should have had some different answers because it's not all the fault of either the problems. I don't think it's all the platform. I don't think it's all the seller. There's a little bit of both, but then it's just more than that too. Some of these issues are coming from outside of both, right? Things that we kind of have some control over, but kind of don't because the ball is already rolling. It's already going. It's got momentum. And so it's gotta, what you guys gotta realize is this. Once certain things happen in the economy and that ball gets rolling and gets momentum, it has to run its course. There's not going to be much change until that thing has run its course and basically crashes and boom, and then you usually see some changes in the direction. But I feel like that specific survey, Mike, that you was asking should have had maybe some different answers, because I think that those two answers, the platform and or the seller, I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. And so I think that we really can't blame eBay for all the problems we facing, or Amazon. Maybe the ones that their policies have an effect on us. We can have that discussion. But when you're talking about some of the issues with sales and so on and so forth, it's more than that, right? It's not just the seller, but it could be. But also, it's the attention that we pay to the surroundings, right? To our surroundings. It's not just the items you buy, but the attention you pay to the environment around that market. What's going on with that market? If your market is underperforming, what other market can you move into? Look, even in a depression, there's going to be a market that performs well, even in a depression, right? So if you see your market going down or trending down, what are you going to do about that? And you have to also understand what's going on in the I won't say necessarily political environment, but yeah, the political environment, because policies dictate what happens with, the economy. So then you can kind of like have a better idea of how you need to formulate your business strategy going forward, guys. I know that's kind of a lot, but I did want to have this conversation because it's not really out there. People really aren't having it in our space. I see it in other spaces on YouTube and stuff, but not in our space, man. And the fact of the matter is, we, that do these YouTube videos, should be putting this type of information out there and talking about. Actually, I did see a couple resellers having this conversation. I can't say not at all. I hope I didn't say that, but some of them. But I think it should be more. I think it really needs to be front and center, because I honestly, I think a lot of people's problems come from a lack of understanding of what's happening. And the more that we can have this conversation, the more of an understanding that some of those struggling can have, and then and then they can make better decisions for themselves, their families, and their business. And so, hope that all makes sense, y'all. I just realized that the make money shipping with Vico is still on there from my last video. I'm sorry. You can make money shipping with Vico. There's a link below if you want to start using Vico, but I really didn't mean to keep that up there. I literally just realized that was still up there. Anyway, tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Share some of your thoughts, share some of your experiences. And look, y'all, don't give up. Things will get worse before they get better, but you got to realize too that your environment is giving you a lot of feedback. Your environment is letting you know to a very great extent what you can expect going forward. Your environment is sending feedback, telling you if something's working and if it's not. You just got to listen. You got to be in tune with that. And if there's things that's distracting you, if there's people that's distracting you, get away from that. A lot of times there's a lot of white noise, man. It drowns out what you need to be hearing and what you need to be focused on, right? And just get away from the white noise for a minute and listen, man. Just listen. And I guarantee you, you'll start to do better and your business will start to grow more. All right. So if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and hit that notification bell, and I'll get back with y'all in the next.